Hello everyone. Thanks for listening to my stories. I will tell you another story very interesting from real life. So, I, 29M, have been with my girlfriend, Sarah, 27F, for about 3 years. Things were solid, or so I thought. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but I genuinely believed we were in a good place. I even had a ring hidden in my suitcase for this trip. Yeah. I know. We booked a week-long vacation at this gorgeous beachfront resort in Mexico. It was meant to be the dream trip: sunsets on the sand, fancy cocktails, late-night swims. I was planning to propose on the third night, after a romantic dinner by the water. The first couple of days were amazing. We were sipping margaritas, lounging by the pool, and taking those cringy couple selfies where you pretend you're in a perfume ad. But then, little things started feeling off. Sarah was glued to her phone way more than usual. Now, I'm not the jealous type, and I wasn't about to be that guy who gets mad over texting. But she kept tilting her screen away from me, which was weird because we always shared memes and TikToks. Then there was the way she started acting distracted. I'd be talking, and she'd be nodding but clearly not listening. Like, I could have said, "Hey, I just bought a pet alligator," and she would have just gone, "That's nice, babe." At first, I told myself I was overthinking it. We were in paradise, right? I refused to let paranoia ruin this trip. But by the third night, things took a turn, and I was about to find out that paradise had a price. That night, I had everything planned. We had an incredible dinner, the kind where they put flowers on your plate, and you feel fancy just looking at it. She was smiling, laughing, it almost felt like nothing was wrong. I started second-guessing myself. Maybe I was just being insecure? After dinner, we went back to our room. I excused myself to take a quick shower, mentally hyping myself up to propose the next day. But when I got out, Sarah was gone. Her phone was missing, too. I checked the bathroom. Empty. The balcony? Nothing. The resort was safe, but my stomach dropped. I texted her, "Where are you?" No response. I called. Straight to voicemail. My heart started pounding. Was she in trouble? Drunk somewhere? Or worse, was she with someone else? I threw on a shirt and ran out, checking the beach first. Couples were strolling, waves were crashing, but no Sarah. I hit the hotel bar, hoping she was just having a late-night drink. Nope. At this point, I was starting to spiral. Then, as I was about to go back to the room, I saw something that made my stomach drop. She was in the corner of the lobby, talking to a guy. Not just talking, whispering, leaning in close. He was tall, dressed way too nice for a casual vacation. And she was looking at him like she used to look at me. And that's when I knew my trip wasn't just ruined. My entire relationship was about to explode. My heart was pounding in my chest, and my mind was racing with a million thoughts. Who was this guy? Had this been going on for a while? Was I just some clueless idiot bringing my girlfriend on vacation while she was already halfway checked out of the relationship? I took a deep breath, squared my shoulders, and walked straight toward them. Sarah saw me approaching, and for a split second, I caught the look on her face, pure panic. The guy turned around, and I could see he was older, maybe mid-30s, clean-shaven, and wearing a watch that probably cost more than my car. "Sarah," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "What's going on?" She blinked rapidly, like she was trying to come up with an excuse but couldn't think fast enough. "Oh, hey. This is, Jason. We just ran into each other." "Jason, huh?" I looked at him, and he just gave me this smug little smile, like he knew something I didn't. My hands clenched into fists. "Ran into each other? Because it kinda looks like you planned to meet." Sarah shot me a warning glance, but I wasn't about to back down. Jason finally spoke. "Hey man, I don't want any trouble. Sarah and I are just friends." I let out a short laugh, more out of disbelief than anything. "Right. Friends. So you just happened to be here, in this exact resort, at this exact time?" Sarah grabbed my arm. Can we talk? Alone? I nodded stiffly and followed her outside to the patio, where the warm night breeze did nothing to cool my rising anger. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Look, I was going to tell you. Tell me what? That you've been seeing someone else? On our vacation? The one where I was planning to propose? I blurted, my voice cracking slightly on that last word. Her mouth fell open. You were, what? That hit her like a slap. Good. But it didn't change the fact that my entire world was crumbling around me. Silence hung between us, thick and suffocating. Sarah looked like she wanted to disappear, but I wasn't about to let her off that easy. How long? I asked, my voice eerily calm now. How long has this been going on? She exhaled sharply and ran a hand through her hair. It's not what you think. It just happened. We met a few months ago, Anne. A few months? I scoffed, stepping back like she had physically hit me. So while I was planning a future with you, you were sneaking around with some guy? She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. I didn't mean for it to happen, she whispered. I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how. I let out a bitter laugh. Oh, so a surprise reveal at a luxury resort was the plan? Great timing, Sarah. Her eyes filled with tears, but I was beyond feeling sorry for her. I was done. I turned and walked back toward the room, my mind made up. I wasn't staying here with her. I grabbed my suitcase and started packing. If she wanted Jason, she could have him. But I sure as hell wasn't going to stick around to watch. I threw clothes into my suitcase haphazardly, not caring if they were folded or even mine. My hands were shaking, but my mind was made up. I was getting out of there. Behind me, Sarah stood frozen in the doorway, hugging herself. You don't have to leave like this, she said softly, her voice laced with guilt. I let out a dry laugh, zipping my suitcase shut with a sharp tug. Oh, really? How exactly should I leave, Sarah? Should I book a nice farewell brunch for the three of us? She flinched, but I didn't care. I wanted her to feel something, anything close to what I was feeling. She took a hesitant step forward. Please. I never wanted to hurt you. I turned to face her, my eyes burning. But you did. 4 months. And you didn't even have the decency to end things before I spent thousands of dollars bringing you on a vacation I thought would be one of the happiest moments of our lives. I let out a bitter chuckle. Hell, I was going to propose to you tomorrow. Can you believe that? Her face crumpled. I didn't know. You didn't care to know, I corrected. You were too busy sneaking around with Jason. I spat his name like it left a bad taste in my mouth. She bit her lip, looking away. That was confirmation enough, there was no coming back from this. I yanked my suitcase upright and pulled out my phone. First flight home? I didn't care about the cost. I just needed to be gone. She hesitated before whispering, What do you want me to do? I met her gaze, my voice calm but firm. You can do whatever the hell you want, Sarah. Stay here. Go to him. Lie to yourself about how this all just happened. But whatever you choose, I won't be here to watch. Her shoulders slumped, and for a second, I thought she might argue, might beg me to stay, but she didn't. And that silence? That said everything. I grabbed my bag and walked past her, past the memories we made in this room, past the future I had stupidly planned for us. And I didn't look back. I managed to book a flight leaving early the next morning. I spent the night sitting on the beach alone, watching the waves crash under the moonlight, replaying everything in my head. The ring? Still buried in my suitcase, as worthless as the promises we had made to each other. By the time I boarded my flight, I felt like a ghost. Numb. Running on fumes. I barely noticed the person sitting next to me until we were in the air. A woman, probably in her early 30s, was sipping on a Bloody Mary, tapping absent-mindedly on her phone. At some point, she must have noticed my shell-shocked expression because she turned to me with a small smirk. Bad vacation, she asked. I let out a breath and shook my head. Bad breakup. She raised an eyebrow. Oof. That sucks. Mexico's usually good for getting over people, not losing them. I scoffed. Yeah, well. Guess I got the short end of the tequila bottle. She chuckled at that, and for the first time in hours, I felt something other than anger. You know what helps, she said, stirring her drink. Drunk karaoke. Or petty revenge. Either one works. I cracked a smile despite myself. Got any good revenge ideas? She pretended to think for a moment. You could have sold her passport to a local street vendor. I barked out a laugh. Tempting. But I think I'll stick to forgetting she exists. The woman clinked her glass against my water bottle. Now that's a solid plan. And for the first time since that night, I actually believed it. When I landed back home, the first thing I did was toss the engagement ring into the back of my closet. I couldn't bring myself to return it yet. Maybe I'd sell it, maybe I'd throw it into a lake. Who knew? Sarah had texted me a couple of times. Nothing dramatic. Just an awkward "Are you okay?" and "I never meant to hurt you." I didn't reply. I had nothing left to say. Instead, I did the one thing I hadn't done in months, something that should have been a red flag long before this trip. I focused on me. I hit the gym harder than ever. I reconnected with friends I had neglected. I booked a weekend trip by myself, just to prove I didn't need some picture-perfect relationship to enjoy life. And you know what? It felt damn good. As for Sarah? I have no idea if she ended up with Jason, and I don't care. She made her choice, and I made mine. And as I walked into a bar a few weeks later, locking eyes with someone new across the room, I realized something. This wasn't the ending of my story. It was just the beginning of a better one. A month had passed since Mexico, and I was doing better. Not perfect, but better. I was back in my routine work, gym, hanging with friends, actually enjoying life instead of stressing over someone who didn't deserve me. The breakup still stung, but the bitterness was fading. Then, on a random Friday night, just as I was getting ready to head out with my friends, my phone buzzed. Sarah. I stared at the screen. She hadn't reached out in weeks. I figured she had moved on with Jason, or whoever else she had lined up. But now, she was calling me. Curiosity got the best of me. I let it ring a few times before answering. Hello? Silence. Then, a small breath. Hey. Her voice hit me harder than I expected. Familiar. Painful. But I kept my tone cool. What do you want, Sarah? Another pause. I wanted to talk. Talk about what? She sighed. About everything. About us. I let out a dry laugh. There is no us, Sarah. You made sure of that. I know, she whispered. But I need to explain. I clenched my jaw. Part of me wanted to hang up. Another part wanted to hear what weak excuse she had for blowing up our relationship. Against my better judgment, I said, you have 5 minutes. I met Sarah at a small cafe not because I wanted to, but because I needed closure. I needed to see for myself that there was nothing left between us. She looked different. Tired. Less put together than usual. No perfect makeup, no effortlessly styled hair. Just a girl who looked like she was carrying a weight she wasn't ready for. She gave me a sad smile. Thanks for coming. I shrugged. You said you wanted to talk. So talk. She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup, staring at it like the words were hiding in her drink. I messed up, she finally said. I know that. And I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I stayed silent. She took a deep breath. I met Jason through work. It started as, I don't know. Flirting, I guess. He was charming, and I got caught up in it. But I never meant for it to turn into anything. I scoffed. Right. Because affairs always just happen. She winced. It wasn't an affair. Not really. I shot her a look. Not really? Her eyes flickered to mine. We never slept together. That caught me off guard. So what, you're saying it was emotional? That's supposed to make it better? She shook her head quickly. No. I don't want you thinking I was sneaking off to hotels every night. It wasn't like that. I sighed, rubbing my temples. Sarah, I don't care what it was. You lied. You chose him over me. In Mexico, of all places. So tell me, why the hell are we even having this conversation? Her eyes shimmered with something, regret, maybe. Because I miss you. A cold, bitter laugh left my lips. You miss me? I repeated. You don't miss me, Sarah. You miss the version of me who didn't know the truth. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. I made a mistake, she whispered. And I regret it more than anything. I leaned back, exhaling sharply. Yeah. Well, some mistakes don't come with second chances. She swallowed hard. So, that's it? I met her gaze, my voice steady. That was at the moment you chose him. I stood up, threw some cash on the table, and walked out. And this time? I didn't look back. Walking away from Sarah felt final. And for the first time, I was okay with that. I didn't need an apology. I didn't need explanations. I just needed to move on. And I did. Over the next few months, I thrived. I hit the gym harder, crushed it at work, and even started traveling, this time for me, not for some grand romantic gesture that would end in disaster. One night, I was at a rooftop bar with some friends when I heard a familiar laugh. Sarah. She was sitting across the patio, sipping wine, her phone in her lap. Alone. I caught her eye for a brief second. Her lips parted slightly, like she wanted to say something, but I just smiled. Not an angry smile. Not a bitter one. Just a simple, carefree I'm good without you kind of smile. And then? I turned back to my friends, laughing at a joke I barely heard. Because the best revenge? Is living like you never needed them in the first place. The end.